Attention, please. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
You've landed on planet 412. I'll be your captain of sorts as we navigate this strange, cryptid-filled world. Join me on the quest for truth, through the strange, mysterious, and supernatural. This is Planet 412.
And welcome to Planet 412. How is everybody? Let me bring up the chat room. Now, I already said hello to everybody, but I will start over. Masochist Mouse, Carol. I know everyone, starts to get in here as we go. Let's see who else is in here. Wow, that went quick. BJ, how you doing, BJ? Logan Arnold. Shining Stars, how you doing, Stace? And if I missed anybody, I will see you as we go. It's a good show tonight, guys. I'm going to bring my guest on right now. He just got home, so let me real quick do one thing, and then we will bring Rye on. Hello, sir.
Hello, Matt. How are you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Of course, it's always a pleasure to have you on. And you got had to take care of some house things, getting here last minute. Me too, brother. That's the way we roll here.
It's crazy. Yeah, I'm still right as we speak, still kind of trying to finalize everything of what I had to take care of. It's just crazy. It's just go, go, go. And I was fine. Like, I was totally fine prior to that. Like, I was ready. Half hour before the show, I was ready. And then we got the message that our car was ready. And it's like, we got to go now, which is late. I know everybody's like, I would assume that it's late. But that's how things work here. And that's just the way it is. So, here I am.
And we have a good group already in the chat room. We always get, I have a lot of international friends that I've made here on Planet 412. We have Louise. I hope I say it right. Wolo Sianka, is that correct, Louise? I'm sure I'm killing it. I'm sorry. She's all the way from Great Britain, from across the pond there. Rye, you're in Mexico, and I know we'll be getting a number of other people here. We have a friend, Kat, from Great Britain, who always shows up, and a number of other people as well. But tonight's show, we were talking the other day about what we wanted to discuss, and you and I decided, obviously, if everybody has noticed the thumbnail, time travel, time slipping, something I know that you know more about that than I do. So I'll let you get started tonight on the subject.
Yeah, no problem. So, there is a difference between time travel and time slipping. Time slipping is literally you slipping into a different time and then slipping back. Time travel is, in essence, it's the same thing. Like, you are traveling in time, but it's almost with a desired intent. Like, this was your intention. So the difference, I would say, would be intention between the two. Time travel is intention. Time slip is unintentional. Like, it's like you're slipping on ice. It's unintentional, and then you just end up in another place, another time.
Or like you're referring to what happened to that group of United States the Air Force planes that had flown and disappeared
Are you talking the Bermuda Triangle one?
Yeah, they went into the
Like,
Bermuda Triangle. Well, no, there was another one. There was one where I think it might have been just one guy. If I'm
okay.
wrong, I could be corrected. He said he flew into like a cloud, a tunnel,
Yes,
and
correct. Yes.
so you take that one. It sounds you know that story better than I do.
Well, the original ones we were talking about would be the ones we're kind of messaging was Flight 19, but those are the Avenger torpedo bombers. But what you're talking about is when the gentleman was flying his Cessna. He was flying his Cessna, and he ended up going through like a cloud tunnel, right?
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
he could see clouds on the top and on the sides and everything.
Correct. So what happened in this one was quite interesting. So this gentleman, and I don't have that one completely ready, but off the top of my head, I do know a little bit about it. So he was flying from a point A to point B. He was flying into Miami. I think he was flying from Bermuda or in that area, we'll say. But he was flying to Miami, where the flight should have taken around 3 hours.
Hey, Rye, we're having a little trouble hearing you.
Okay.
Okay, there you go. It just came back.
Oh, strange.
That was strange. You sound wonderful now. Go right ahead. Go back to it, brother.
There we go. Hang on. You know what? I'm just going to open up something on my computer here just to make things, it helps with my sound. So I'm just going to do that. If you give me 1 minute here. Yeah, just
Hey,
logging in.
Logan, I agree with you. Not wise to fly over the Bermuda Triangle. There's a new thought, by the way, on why so many things, planes, boats, things have disappeared in the Bermuda Triangle. The new kind of up to date 2025 thought is there's supposed to be a AI controlled undersea base that whenever something flies into its range, it doesn't, obviously contact the people or anything, and it's just zip, you're gone. And what supposedly this AI base does, that was put there by another life form, is it constantly builds new kinds of drones that we would perceive as UFOs for whatever different purpose it's built for. It gets sent out, it does its job, it comes back, it gets taken down into its relative parts and then added to the junket of other things to be built for new kinds of things. That's one of the new things going on around out there.
Interesting. Okay, so I have this all ready now. So December 4th, 3 p.m., 1970, he departed Andros in the Bahamas, like I said, and he was flying on his Bonanza A36, which is kind of like think of it like a Cessna, and his father's business associate. So it was with his father and his father's business associate, okay? And this flight took them on the Bermuda Triangle on their way to Bimini, okay? Bimini might be, some people might know that word from the Bimini Road, the underground, not underground, but underwater road that they discovered that many people think is Atlantis, but I don't think it's the actual Atlantis. I think it's part of the kingdom of Atlantis, but not Atlantis itself, if that makes sense. Now, so they entered into this large fluffy, like this large fluffy cloud appeared in front of them. And when they entered into it, they said it was very dark with flashes of light. So they came under the understanding that they had entered a dangerous electrical storm. And that was at 3:27 p.m. So remember that they left at 3 p.m. Now it's 3:27 p.m. They said the plane, and at 3:27 he turned the plane 135 degrees to head south in an attempt to, which you would want to do, avoid the large storm, of course. And that's when he radioed Miami to notify them a change in their course, because that's what you should do. You should always notify your course, your directions, so that the traffic control can keep an eye on you, and also ensure that there's not going to be any mid-air collisions. Now, so he attempted to escape this cloud, but unfortunately, this cloud seemed to grow larger and larger, and then in front of him there was another cloud, and this is the one that started to form this tunnel around the plane, and it appeared to be like 10 or 15 miles long, this tunnel. So he could see clear blue sky at the end of the tunnel. So he knew that, of course, he decided that that would be his safest course of action, would be to go through this tunnel. If all you see is these terrible clouds and these this lights off in these clouds, you're gonna go for it. You're gonna gun it. So he said that while he was in the tunnel, he had noted that there was these spiraling lines and this is important, counterclockwise motion along the interior. Okay, so I'm doing it the wrong way. They're going like this. Okay, so there's these counterclockwise spirals. I think the way that I've seen it described was like it looked like clouds, like just clouds, but they're like swirls kind of going in this. Now, what seemed to be like a 10-mile tunnel at first should have taken only maybe 3 minutes to pass through, but it became only 1 mile long, and they passed through it in 20 seconds, like just like that. So just imagine, this harrowing event, and you think it's going to take so much longer, but it's only 20 seconds. So what they and then they said what they saw, instead of seeing the clear blue skies that he first saw at the end of the tunnel, they were met with this blank gray haze all around them. Okay, they couldn't see no sky, no ocean, no horizon, absolutely nothing, but just grayness everywhere. He's like, it would be, a thick fog, maybe that like pea soup fog that you might experience before, right?
Right.
Yeah, and it appeared like so it's about 2 miles. So he was able to extend it about 2 miles. And so when they tried to read their location using their navigational systems, all the instruments were malfunctioning. Of course they were, because this is like a magnetic fog. This is
Right.
a magnetic anomaly, which seems to be very consistent with the Bermuda area. Now, he contacted the Miami air traffic control again to see, because he needed their help. Okay, so he needed, like, tell me where I am. And Miami said, listen, we got nothing on our radar, anywhere between Miami, Bimini, and Andros. So he was able to communicate, but they couldn't see him. So what he did is he just kind of flew by his instinct, right? So he went by his mental compass. And then after a few minutes, Miami radio controller announced that they had just spotted a plane directly over Miami Beach, heading west. And he couldn't believe it, because they had only been flying for 34 minutes. Okay, there was no way that they could have reached Miami
Right.
in that amount of time. So when we're talking, this would be a different form of a time slip. We're not talking time slipping backwards. We're talking like skipping. This is almost a time skip. So it was then when that happened that this gray fog started to dissipate, and he said it dissipated in a very strange way. It was like these horizontal ribbons across the sky. It was like these ribbons that were and they just slowly and dissolved, like they got smaller and smaller, so the sky was expanding, kind of taking over this fog. And when it all disappeared, he was able to see that he was directly over Miami Beach. And then with that, he landed at the Palm Beach International Airport. So the entire flight took 48 minutes, okay?
Wow.
Now, and if I recall, I think this flight was supposed to take like a couple of hours.
Right. I think it was like 2 to 3 hours somewhere in there.
Yes, I agree. I totally agree. So there is no way there was like this time narrowing, this a time skipping is what I think. Like he found uh, best would be described would be a wormhole. That's what it was. Would be definitely a wormhole that he flew through. When we talk about portals, many times we talk about portals. They're a doorway to somewhere else, but it might not be somewhere else. It might be when else. It might be a different time. It might be scooting you ahead. It's just kind of like how they talk about folding space through they're talking about a lot of movies. They talk about traveling from point A to point B. Is long, but if
Right.
you fold the space and those 2 points then are right on top of each other, that is kind of more similar to what I think happened. Space folded, and they just traveled through that doorway into this other direction, which was very lucky of them, because who knows where they might have ended up or when they might have ended up. Like Flight 19 very much might have ended up, hundreds of years into the future, hundreds of years into the past. We truly don't know. That is one of those mysteries, and it's only thing that we can speculate what we're seeing. What we do know is there is very strong magnetic interferences within there. Magnetic anomalies are huge. And we see that also with K meters. When we're detecting what is that in paranormal, when you go out with your meter to detect magnetic
Oh,
anomalies.
I forget the exact one they use.
But not the tool, but you're detecting
Oh, electromagnetic different
fields. Yes.
Right.
So like we can see that is an issue. That is a gateway, or in my opinion, it's a portal to another time. Another, what we could be seeing as ghosts is just one of those folding of space and time where we actually can punch through. And maybe it's these ghosts are punching through to our side. Not all, don't get me wrong. It's not all of them, but I believe that we do have that, that is something that gets imprinted in certain areas, things like that.
Right. And it makes you wonder. I was sitting here thinking as you were talking, it makes you wonder, what if maybe a UFO had opened up a portal or an area, utilized that, and as he was flying through it, is as it was closing, and he got a kind of jump on the back of it. You never
Like
know. I don't know.
like Talladega Nights, or what was that? What was the Tom Cruise movie with the car race? Where they're drafting. It's kind of like drafting, more or
Right.
less, where you get in behind and you can get pulled through and pulled along. Why not?
Right, right. They do that not only in car driving, you can do that flying, I think, as well. And that might be a negative thing, I think, when you're flying. But yeah, you can definitely do that in race driving for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
That's an interesting one, man. It really makes you wonder what occurred there. Um,
I agree. Totally.
yeah.
Like
I have one here. Interesting.
Yep.
It's an old one from 1901, the Versailles time slip,
Oh
the
yeah.
Jourdain incident.
Yeah.
Charlotte Ann Moberly and Eleanor Jourdain, two respected academics from Oxford. What happened is, while visiting the Petit Trianon garden at Versailles, they claimed the scenery suddenly changed. The air felt heavy, colors became strange, and they saw people in the 18th century clothing, including a woman they believe was Marie Antoinette herself. Their account was published in 1911 as an adventure and remains one of the most famous time slip cases in history.
That's a very interesting one. Again, we have those time slips where they're sliding into these other times.
Right.
Do you have
Louise obviously knows where we're talking about there.
Yeah, that one is very, very interesting. Yeah, that one is the, where do we have it? Yeah, 1901. That's, you know, so that in my opinion is a genuine time slip, triggered by maybe location-based temporal resonance or something like that, you know. And what's also interesting is the atmospheric change, right? Which is similar to modern UFO and paranormal encounters reported, because they did in this one they reported that there was like this atmospheric type of change. They felt like a heaviness in the air, or something along that. They noticed that there was an environmental change, like the colors were more dull, sounds more muted as well.
Yeah, that really makes you wonder what occurred there. I would like to actually have one of those events happen, as long as I end up back where I'm supposed to be. I wanted to throw this up real quick for Jack Spring. He sent me a message saying he made an episode about my encounter on his other channel, Weirdscape, the Wolfman of Briar Hill. Briar Hill is right by where we had our event. It's one of the streets we used to take to get down to my buddy's house when we went to the steel mill. And so I wanted to let everybody see his message so that everyone can go over there and check out that video. I'm excited to see that, Jack, for sure. I have another one here I wanted to mention. I have a few. The Air Marshal, the Air Marshal Sir Victor Goddard RAF experience 1935. Sir Victor Goddard, a senior Royal Air Force officer, Louise may know this. Flying over an abandoned airfield in Scotland, Goddard saw it suddenly transform into a fully operational base with yellow training aircraft, unfamiliar uniforms, and buildings that did not exist. I remember this one very well. For years later, the base was renovated exactly as he had seen it, down to the yellow planes, a color not used by the RAF until after his vision. That was very weird, I'm sure, to have that happen to him, to be flying over, an air base that, he was going to be landing at, expected it to, or I'm sorry, it was not supposed to be open. That's the way it was. Okay. It was supposed to be completely closed down, an old, dilapidated air base, and he's flying over it, and he sees people running around. He sees these yellow colors on these planes, which, as I just said, was not a color that they expected to see at that time. And then for years later, it says the base was renovated exactly as he saw it. So he must have, again, as some of these other people, hit a time slip portal or something, flew through it. It was 4 years later when that was redone, reopened, and these model planes colored that yellow color were all done. And then he, I believe what occurred also was something along the lines, he might have landed or something.
He did. And, yeah, I believe he did land. Yes.
Yeah. So I don't have that here. I just did a real quick.
No, I actually have some more information I can expand.
Go ahead.
Just a little bit. So you are correct. Yeah, that was in 1935. He flew over this abandoned airfield in Scotland. It was overgrown with no activity. And then 4 years later in 39, when he flew over it again, that's when he saw the ground crew wearing unfamiliar uniforms, and he did land, but when he landed, the airfield was still abandoned.
Yeah, no one was there.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah, and then they showed that and only years later they opened it up, and that's when it was painted exactly as he had seen. But it was after his sighting that they opened it up. So when we're talking about time slips, it's very common to have reverse time slips to go backwards in time, right? But this was a forward time slip. So he went into 1941. So when he flew over, it was 39, and it was a 2-year time slip. So that's very interesting. So, you know, I wonder if pilots maybe experience more time slips due to maybe like their altitude. Maybe there's magnetic anomalies are more common, or atmospheric events, perhaps.
Right.
Yeah,
That makes sense. Maybe it has to be that kind of perfect something, with the weather and everything for that, to occur. Maybe.
yes, yeah, I agree. What do you guys think in the chat there? What do you guys think? Oh, hang on, sorry, I see BJ has a question. Question from Lyson.
Oh,
Question from
sorry.
Rye. Why can ghosts touch us and we can't touch them? Great question. Because they're ghosts? No. Dude. So my guess is that they're not in sync with us, right? So we are in different frequencies, but they can acquire a lot of energy, and with a lot of practice, that is when they can touch us. So, like, when people get scratched or touched on the shoulder or touched on the foot or something like that, it is because they have learnt how to do it, and they use a lot of energy to be able to almost bridge those the worlds, so to speak.
Who
So
asked this question?
Lyson.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Lyson. I was looking for BJ.
Yeah, well, Lyson asked it, but we missed it. But BJ reposted it. She kind of.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. Sorry, Lyson. I didn't mean to miss that. Yeah, I 100% agree with Rye. They try to collect as much energy as they can. They try to get it through electricity, battery packs. When you have people there that are, doing ghost hunting and research, you always see a lot of times on these shows people saying, I just put a fresh battery in my camera, or, my digital recorder is completely, dead. People themselves start to feel really weak. So they feel faint, as if, they need to immediately go lay down and want to go to sleep. I remember watching Portals Through Hell with Jack Osborne, Ozzy's dad. We miss him, man. He was the best. He does a great job on his show. He had one show where he always brings in extremely strong psychics that are scarily detailed in how they can read stuff, and they said, watch out, Jack, there's something here that's seems like it's stuck to you. And they took pictures with, I think it was either a full spectrum camera or just an infrared camera, and there was this black cloud that was sticking to him from behind. Well, at one point during the episode, he actually just sat straight down and was like, I just feel like I want to go to sleep. I just want to lay down. Everybody was like, are you all right?
Just sucking the energy out of him.
Yeah. So, and they also get a lot of energy off of, lightning storms, water, what the places are made of, like limestone and granite.
Yeah, water is huge. Water, limestone, granite, quartz. Quartz granite is the same thing. But you are correct. Limestone is huge. Quartz is huge. Granite is huge. Water is as well. Some sort of, and it's not lake water, but it's running water. It has to be moving water where they can pull the energy off of. Great points, Matt. Great points. I actually have I have my own personal story about batteries being drained. If you guys want to hear this one, I'm not sure if I told this when you interviewed me, but I had gone to a sweat lodge, and that evening I decided instead of going home, I was going to drive out into the mountains with my truck and just let my intuition guide me. And my one friend was like, do you mind if I come with you? I'm like, sure, because his wife was going to sleep in the sweat lodge at night. She was going to spend the night in the sweat lodge. So we drove into the mountains, which was about 40 minutes away. It wasn't too far. And I just I don't know where I'm going. I'm just going to drive. So I drove and drove and drove, turned here, turned there, went this way, went that way, and I ended up on some back road, and it was late at night, so I can't see anything. We're out of cell phone service area, and we were about to get out in the middle of nowhere, and my friend says to me, he's like, "Are there cougars out here? Are there mountain lions out here?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, but they're more afraid of us than we are of them. With my truck coming, they'll leave. Like there's no way that they're going to hang around here." So, with that being said, we go outside, and I had my little dog at that time. God rest his soul. I put him out in the ditch, and we kind of walk into the ditch, and we go, and there's a fence, and I think there was some cattle in this area. So I know we're in the middle of nowhere, and there's cattle here, which is welcome to Alberta, redneck state, and and we get there, and I grab my cell phone, and I turn the light on it just to see, and that's when I hear like a big cat, and I don't mean like kitty cat, like meow meow, but a like this,
Like a cougar or something?
like a cougar or a mountain lion. That is the sound that I heard. Okay, and I'm like, oh my god, and my dog is 5 pounds. My dog is tiny, and I'm like, so I grab my dog, and my mind is blown at this time because I'm like, why the hell? Like this creature shouldn't be here. Like this, it should not be here. We're in the middle of nowhere, and it's the exact spot that I chose to stop at. Right. So we get in the truck, and we're like, okay, it's late. I'm tired. Let's go to sleep. So we fall asleep, get up around 6 in the morning because it's pretty cold. Even though it's summer, it's the middle of summer, but in the mountains, it's cold. So I go to start my truck. Click, 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 click. We're in the middle of nowhere. No cell service. No cell service. And I'm like, oh my God. So I'm like, what do I do at this point? So I start walking down the road, and we'll say about a mile down the road, there's a house. There is a house in the middle of nowhere. I go in, knock on the door, and gentleman answers, and he's like, yep, what can I do for you? And I'm like, I need a boost. My truck is dead over here. I need a boost. And he's like, okay. So he gave me a boost. I drove home. I drove back to the sweat lodge, dropped my friend off, and I went home. I went straight home. When I was at home, and this is kind of this is a long story, but yeah. So there was the battery drain, right? So the battery was drained. I get home, I'm laying in my bed because I'm tired because I didn't sleep well, and I have one of those salt lamps. You know those Himalayan salt lamps?
I got one lit right behind the camera.
And it has the rocker switch. It has a rolling switch, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I have it on, and all of a sudden I hear click. It turns off, right? It's not. It's a roller switch, right? You have to go like this. So it turned off, and I'm like, "What the hell just happened?" Okay, and then a couple minutes later, the had a painting above my head, above my bed, falls off and hits me on the head. And at that point, I called the medicine woman who ran the sweat lodge, and I was like, I got some strange things happening here. And she's like, yeah, something followed you home from the mountains. Something came with you.
Not good.
Yeah, so I had to do my clearing of my house, which I know how to do, and kind of like a blessing. And after that, my truck worked fine. But I would say about 4 or 5 months later, I did have to replace my battery, though. Then my battery finally, it did a number on my electronics. I was able to, keep a charge on it, but it eventually died on it, and it was crazy. It was crazy.
What type of entity do you think that you brought home with you?
Well, okay, so I know Skinwalkers are Navajo. I think it had something to do with that. I think there was some sort of entity, some person that was in the mountains, and I used my intuition to find it, because that cat should not have been there. There's no way in hell there should have been a cat there, like a cougar or a mountain lion, in the middle of nowhere. Like, don't get me wrong, yes, of course it'll be in the mountains there. But when I'm driving with my truck, they are smart. They're going to leave, right? So I think it was some sort of not a skinwalker, but something along that line that followed me home.
Not good, man. Glad you know how to clear. So what would you recommend if somebody had something, follow them home from going somewhere haunted or something, like I'm going to be doing here in the next couple
Well,
months?
definitely prior to going, always protect yourself. Use wards. Wards are like a cross, a blessed cross, an actual blessed cross. Have
That's
that
what
with
I
you.
wear.
Say a prayer. Say a prayer before you go. Ask for protection. Then crystals as well. Black tourmaline is one of the best. Black obsidian is another fantastic one as well. Selenite is good. Selenite is good for not allowing negativity into your house. Okay, but those are the things I would use. Then when you finish, you should clean yourself using sage. Okay, burning white buffalo sage, and you treat it like soap. Wash off energies off of you. Clean it that way. Now, if you picked up an attachment there, I would use more than sage. I would incorporate mugwort and clove within the smudge that you're going to be using to cleaning yourself. Clove is used for exorcisms. Just an FYI.
Okay.
Yeah, so those are some things that you can use. Now, so that's what I would do, but I would also always pray. I'll tell everyone, just before I did this, before I went and got the car, I actually did a clearing on my studio here because things have been, I've been having a lot of issues lately, a lot of issues, and it was just like I need to, get rid of some of these energies, move them out, things like that. So it's like, okay, that's what I'm gonna do. So that's what I would recommend. So Logan, that's an answer that I would not be able to give you. Well, I'll give you my opinion. I think no, it doesn't matter.
No.
But I literally just talked to a amazing gentleman from Don't Whistle at Night podcast. His name is Don, and we talked Skinwalkers the whole interview, and that interview coming out in middle of September. But he talked about that, yeah, like battles within tribes is something that happens. Like the Skinwalkers, these bad medicine men are something that they talk about, and they have like these inter battles kind of thing. So I think Skinwalkers are more going to be attacking their own kind because they've been hired or paid to do something.
Right.
They have a vendetta against one family against another, which he was telling me about that as well. Like, yeah, and he told me, and I said, like, what? This is a great thing, and this is something to pass on. I asked him, what is some things that you can do, to protect yourself? And he said, no fear. Do not show fear. You show fear, they will come on to you even more. He says also an obsidian, like not obsidian, but he said a arrowhead, but usually the arrowheads are made out of obsidian as well. Okay, an arrowhead, and then cedar ash. Okay, they would put like cedar ash across their foreheads like this. He also talked about using like you have cedar ash on your finger. I might be butchering this, but please by all means watch the episode when it comes out, or go check out his channel. And you would say a prayer, and you could like flick it at a like a medicine man or a skinwalker, and it will seek them out. It's like a heat-seeking missile. And then he says it'll hit them and it'll make them bleed, and then you can track them.
Yeah, and I would definitely take all of that, as good
Advice.
information. My research on skinwalkers, and I've been doing a lot of it lately. I have a video coming out on them in the coming month. The things that I've noticed as well on, shows I've watched, interviews I've watched, I've watched a lot of the Skinwalker Ranch shows. There's not only the basic one they have, Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch. There's another one that's connected to it, that they have these two guys that go out and they interview people and do other ones.
Okay, these are just guys that interview. Sorry, I thought it was you're talking
No,
about.
that's connected to Skinwalker, the show. It's another
Okay.
one. I forget the name of it, but they always have these two Navajo ex police officers. They're real famous. I forget their names. One guy's name's Ken something. And these guys have talked about, Skinwalkers, and it has no indifference to anyone. They will attack anyone. If you're in the wrong area at the wrong time, they'll run up and you'll run with your car. There are instances of these things running upwards of 60 to 70 miles per hour alongside vehicles, people trying to get away from them. They're just bad juju, man. They're
Yeah, and like
nasty animal creature spirits. Sorry, Rye.
well, yeah, and I'm not saying that they're only going to be sticking to the natives. Of course not. But they are a medicine man. They are a medicine man who has taken. And I've heard this multiple times.
Yeah, for sure. That's where they start from, right?
Yes, is they start from a medicine man and then they go down a dark path, and one of those is sacrificing a loved one.
I was just gonna say that they have to kill somebody that they're extremely close to. They eat human, body parts. They have to become, they have to do that. They have to do a couple other things too.
This is what Don was telling me as well. They have to drink donkey piss as well.
Ooh, I didn't hear that one.
Yeah, I was like,
Okay.
oh my God. I'm like, okay. Yeah, but like consuming the dead.
Right.
Is
Oh,
part of-
necrophilia as well.
necrophilia. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
100%. So we are on the same page as this. Yeah. So
Some foul stuff.
extremely foul stuff, man. This is ridiculous. It's crazy that there's these things out there. And he talked about how they became too. It's quite interesting. It started with a little bit of a plague, and the medicine man trying to cure the plague, and one of the gods that came down to help the medicine man, but one of the chaos god, saw that there was too much good going on, so then he offered these medicine men some more power. And this was it, kind of, more or less. But of course, I'm butchering the story. But it was quite interesting. Yeah, but yeah. So those are some things. I know we're way off topic, which is kind of the norm of
me and you, for sure.
Yeah. You know what? This has nothing to do with paranormal, but this is a story that happened to me, which was, I think people will find interesting. Okay, so this is a crazy story of an experience something that has happened to me. I haven't told anybody, not for the fact that I hold it a secret, but it's just that it's an interesting story. But it's not paranormal or anything. But it's weird. It's very strange. So I'm gonna rewind this. So it's back in 2003. I have just bought myself a brand new truck. Okay, 2003 Chevrolet Silverado. It's nice, but it's not special that it's stands out or anything. It's a brand new truck, but it's not I didn't do anything to it. Nothing aftermarket or nothing. So whenever I come home from work, I lived in a 2-story apartment. It was a very long apartment building, but it only had 2 stories, 2 floors. So whenever I parked in the parking lot, I would always go upstairs and go sit on my balcony, enjoy my balcony. It's a crappy balcony though. So there was one morning, and I'm just gonna lay some more information. I am terrible. I used to be absolutely terrible with my wallet and my keys. Okay, I would just drop them wherever, and in the morning I'd be looking for them, always running around where did I put my wallet? Where did I put my keys? But that night, I was very specific on where I put my wallet and keys. I put my wallet and my keys in this one specific spot, and it just stuck with me. I don't know why. So I get up in the morning, and my apprentice is there because I was a journeyman plumber. My apprentice is there to pick me up, and he calls me and he's like, "Hey man, I'm here." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah. I just can't find my wallet, and my keys," and I'm looking and looking and looking and looking, and he like it's been like 5-10 minutes, and he's like, "Dude," and I'm like, and I call him back. I'm like, "Man, they were here. I don't know where they are." I'm standing out on my balcony. I look, and my truck is gone. Okay, and I'm like, my truck's gone. My truck's been stolen. Okay, so and he's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah," and so he parks, and he comes up, and my door is locked. Okay, that's another thing is my door is locked. So I unlock my door, and he comes in, and he's like, "Dude, what's going on?" I'm like, "I have no idea. My wallet, my keys, and my truck are gone." And so he's like, "Yeah, well, we got to report this." So I call the police, and I let them know that my truck and wallet and stuff are gone, and they're like, "Okay, so we'll send someone over." So I'm like, "Well, I should go tell the office, the head office of this building." So I go down to the head office, and the door is kicked in. So the office building door is kicked in. I go in, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we got hit last night. They stole all the computers, everything, and then they took the master keys." And I'm like, "They took the master keys?" And I said, "Well, they went to my place too, only mine." Okay, there are hundreds of rooms, like hundreds of apartments at this place, and they only went to mine while I was sleeping at anywhere between, it was anywhere between 1 in the morning to 3 in the morning. So while I was sleeping, they came in and took my wallet and my keys, which were in the living room. I sleep with a fan on all the time, so I did not hear them. And yes, so that was my story, my quick story. Now, what transpired from that was they started. Not only did they steal my truck and my wallet and my keys, they stole my identity. So then they started getting credit cards in my name, like local business credit cards, like smaller, like department store credit cards. And this is back in the day when we had checks too. Okay, so like I know we can still have checks, but there are more common. And they had taken my checkbook as well. So then they would go to a grocery store, and some grocery stores had their own credit card. They go to a grocery store, get a credit card, and then they buy the groceries, then pay off the credit card with a check right there, and then just kind of repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. So I had so many claims against me, and I had like all this stuff going on. And finally, like they actually finally put an alert on my account, and I got a phone call one day, and they're like, "Are you applying for a credit card at this location right now at this store?" I'm like, "No."
Should have got a call a long time ago.
Yes, yes. And I was like, "Nope, that's not me." They're like, "Okay." And I'm like, "Which store was it again, and where?" They're like, "We said too much. We shouldn't be telling you anymore. So we shouldn't even said that." So they hung up. This was like the actual credit card company. And so I kind of remember.
Weird that they said that to you.
Yes. So I remembered the name, but I couldn't remember the location. I couldn't remember the name exactly. So then this is back in the day when there wasn't really, like, there was internet, but it really wasn't that good. So I was searching through the phone book, and I found the place, and I called them, and I said, "I'm the guy that they stole my identity. Is there people there?" And he's like, yeah, I've called the cops. There's one guy outside in a truck, and there's another guy in the store here. And the cops came, and the truck took off. So my truck was in a police chase.
Oh my God.
As well. Yeah. And my truck was days away from being written off as like, "Here's your money back." Okay.
Oh, that would have been cool for you, at least.
It would have changed my life actually at that point.
Oh man.
I didn't want that truck. After I bought it, I was like, "This is a terrible debt. I can't believe I did this." But so my truck was in a police chase, and then they captured these guys, and then I went to the police station it was another city. It was like an hour and a half outside of where I lived, and they showed me the rap sheet of the one gentleman there, because I said, "Oh man, I would have loved to waken up." He's like, "No, you wouldn't." Like, I would have loved to have been waking up when they're in my place. He's like, "No, you wouldn't have." This guy had like theft, armed robbery, blah 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 blah, like list after list. And I'm like, "Well," and he's like, "There was two of them." I'm like, "Well, how did they know each other?" He says, "They were cellmates when they were in jail one time."
Oh.
Yes.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
the story even continues even more. Like the crazy thing is, then it was the fight with the insurance company because my truck was a brand new truck, and then it was in it was in a crash, not a big crash, but enough to do some damage. And then the insurance company only fixed half of it and said I damaged the truck, and then I had to like do detective work to locate that it wasn't me, I because there was yellow transfer paint. So then I had to go to the police where the truck was in an accident, ask for pictures, and I explained the whole situation. The police were so mad, not at me but at the insurance company. And so they said yes, there was a big yellow post that your truck hit into, so there was paint transfer. So then I presented it to my insurance company. Like we're talking, I was like yelling matches with my insurance company. I presented all this information to them. They're like, okay, yep, go get it fixed. Like,
They wanted you to fix it.
well, no. They said, yes, like, we'll pay for it. Go get it fixed.
Right.
Yeah.
And you could have got rid of it. That's a damn shame.
Yeah, it was. So that is my crazy story. Sorry for getting us off.
No. Thanks for sharing it. Lyson had asked, if skinwalkers can only turn into ghosts and things, and I had answered him in the chat, but I'll say it out here for everybody. The Lyson and for everyone else, they're known to be able to turn into different types of beings,
Yes.
dogmen. They can imitate
Yes.
all kinds of natural animals, from small to large. They can make themselves turn into, like combinations of different weird animals. There's been like cougar people, horse people. They can really imitate just about anything.
Yeah, like they have to get like the pelt of it or
Right.
some sort of something to transfer over. And I also learned that there's never one. It's never
Coyote people,
coyote.
those
Yeah,
are well
but
known.
it's never one. They're always in pairs. Okay, it doesn't mean that you're going to see both of them, but they will always be in pairs. A sense of like one might be back at the cave, and they said that they'll put a feather in the ground. Okay, that feather will be moving around, and that is in essence the life force of the other skinwalker. Okay, that's out and about. But if the feather falls down, that means that something has happened, and this other skinwalker will then go and retrieve the body of the other one. So it's crazy. Yeah. And so not all skinwalkers started out evil. I see that the Logan is saying, could there ever be a good skinwalker, or are they all pure evil? They get to be evil. Okay, so it's kind of like they'll take you in as an apprentice. Okay, they take like these medicine men will take them in as an apprentice, and they'll start to train you, but it'll slowly elevate. It's kind of like the
Yes,
boiling
Louise.
water, the boiling water with the frog kind of thing. You don't notice how it's getting worse and worse and worse, like hotter and hotter and hotter, until it's finally there, until it comes to the final act, which is the loved one, right? That is the sacrifice of your loved one, which is horrific,
Yeah.
and Don was telling me about one of his friends who was taken in. It was his father-in-law, actually. His father-in-law was this medicine man skinwalker, and he was guiding him along. And when they had their firstborn son, it was, okay, here's your time now. This is the one that you need to sacrifice. And he refused. Now, this is the thing, though, is that if you refuse at that point, you then become almost cursed, and like bad magic goes upon you.
Yeah.
Even though you've made the right decision and you've refused it, now you're going to have some major problems.
Right. Yeah. Louise, 100%. They can mimic voices of loved ones or just humans in general. I know there's a good video of this one guy on YouTube, a cowboy, and he doesn't do like, paranormal stuff, but he's had some weird stuff happen. And he'd be, riding his horse and doing a video, and he'd hear out of like, you could see like in the desert and stuff a long distance, and you'd hear like someone go, hey, over here, and he'd be looking, and the thing that was telltale was his horse stopped and its ears went up, and it was like, and it turned around without him telling it, and it jetted. And he said, you know what, I just let my horse do its thing, because they know, animals know when something bad's going on. There's, something paranormal or bad juju. And so yes, that is different ways that not just skinwalkers, but other nefarious types of beings, poltergeists and things, have gotten into people's houses by, banging on the door. Wendigos are known to be able to mimic voices as well. Let me in, it's me, it's grandma, or, somebody else. But there's always usually a telltale something off about the way that they sound as well.
Yeah, never ever invite them in. Never ever let them in. Yes, that's something I can't say enough. And I know Mouse there. We talked about this a lot, where it's kind of like, no welcome mats. Get rid of those welcome mats. Get an unwelcome mat. Or like,
that's funny. Yeah, good point.
Yeah. It's something to be aware of, that this lore, these legends that we have, and this lore about, we'll talk vampires. Everybody knows you have to invite. I was
just going to bring it up.
Yeah, you have to invite a vampire in to allow them into your household or into your house. That, in my opinion, goes with just about any and every creature out there. It's either you invite them in, or you have a gift of something. They give you something, and then you bring it into the house.
Oh,
if you bring something, then they now have access into your house. So
also, Rye, real quick, I just saw something about these people had went to a haunted hotel. They took a couple pebbles from the front of the hotel that was known to be extremely haunted, and when they went home, they started having all types of bad paranormal activity in their home. So they said they're taking these back to the hotel.
Yeah, and so taking things from haunted locations is a horrible idea. There was this one lady who I can forget which jail it is. I'm sure people can help me on this one. This is one where they had a riot, and there was like murders, and it was sadistic, where they were like parading people's heads around a mop handle.
God.
Yes. So there was a woman there who was doing some filming, and I'm not saying like a ghost filming, but just a filming for something, and she saw this really cool hat, and she took it home. And when she did, she brought stuff with her. She brought something with her. Now, instead of actually returning the hat or dealing with it properly, she burnt the hat. This is what you do if you burn something of that. Like, there's things you can burn. Don't get me wrong. There's things you can burn, but this is not one of them. You've now released this spirit that it was bound to this hat. Like, it was kind of tied to it. So if you would have taken that hat out, there's a very good chance that spirit would have gone with it. But now she released it, kind of like from it's shackled, like it's ball and chain. Now it's gone. Yeah. So that was crazy. I see that their license has a question. If vampires are real, why is there not enough evidence to support their existence? Are they humans with superpowers or cryptid looking? I think there's a lot of evidence to support this. Like, if we rewind back into the Victorian era, a lot of people did believe in actual vampires. Vampirism was huge then. That's when they were putting cages over top of graveyards. Now, were they just afraid and just doing this out of because someone told them to,
or it was just the time, being an older time? But I mean, they're absolutely having things happen.
There were things happening. There was a lot of things happening. We'd look back into this, and then we'd laugh. We're like, they drove a stake through someone's heart when they died. Like this person died, and there was, stake through their heart, or they would put something over their mouth as well. There is a lot of this. I actually believe that there's a lot more vampirism, and now the reason why we're not seeing this is because, man, they're smart. how would you survive if you were a vampire? Would you be going out and sucking people's blood, or would you be very methodical on what you're doing, or would you actually create some sort of blood harvesting program? You know, a breeding program and a blood harvesting program. Like if we go to Blade, let's just talk Blade.
Yeah, I mean, it's realistic.
Yeah, like Blade 2 or 3, I can't remember which one it was, where
I
they
think it was
literally,
the third one.
okay, they had people in these, they're kind of brain dead,
Oh,
homeless people,
second.
and they were extracting their blood. It was literally a blood bank, okay? And so let's say you kidnap some people from a third world country, okay? You bring them into the U.S., into underground cave systems, underground bunkers, and then you breed them, okay? And I know this sounds very degrading, and it is, like they're livestock, okay? Like this kind of thing is really happening. I'm not going to. Is it happening for vampires? I don't know, but these kinds of things are happening, okay? So they have babies and they just keep on having babies. And if you're like, how can this happen? Well, imagine if you were born into slavery, you're born in these caves, into these pits, and you see nothing else but that. How do you know what's different? How do you know what
Right.
this is? You don't. You don't. Lyson, that is, to make a long story short, I believe that they just got way better at hiding everything.
Yeah, and you know what? There's been a lot more things that have occurred with that. Like, you know, I did want to say this one thing. You know, people have said, oh well, they believe that any body that they would dig up after a certain amount of time that hadn't really deteriorated or didn't look like things are going on. In certain soils, though, that have certain mixes of alkalinity and things, bodies can actually stay looking very non dead. They can look like these people. Like I know somewhere in Latin America, they're having issues in some parts, maybe in Brazil or something, where they have very little space to bury bodies. Where they'll have in cemeteries, people will have to dig up their loved ones after so many years and get them burnt and put in a vase or something, because they only have so much room. Well, they're having an issue in a certain region where the bodies are not deteriorating because of the alkalinity in the soils. It's almost like they're mummifying. It's really odd. Also with vampirism, there's a lot of it that have gone on down in like down in Louisiana and the New Orleans region.
Yeah, someone was just saying that. Logan was saying that, hey, Matt, I think there's a story about vampires in Louisiana, New Orleans. There we go.
Yeah, there is one where a gentleman wanted to become. Sorry, Logan, I missed your comment there. This one, and it might be the one Logan Arnold's talking about. The guy wanted to become a vampire. He started going into the different areas of people that know that these are vampire areas, and when he was inquiring about too much about them, lo and behold, in his hotel days later, his the woman that came to clean his room found this man skinned alive in the hot tub of his hotel. And you can look this up. This really happened. Police, and I mean, this was on the news. The news talked about this guy being skinned alive, and they talked about that he was openly looking to become, a vampire and trying to find out where they were. And they didn't want that, man. There was another story that was...
Talk about sending a message, right?
Oh, big time. Yeah, just what you brought up too, Rye. They want to hide. They don't want to be known that they're out there. Also, another real well-known story down in Louisiana in the New Orleans area. It was on one of the shows. I can't remember which one it was. It's one of like Monsters, Mysteries, and something, but it was a group of women had gone out, and they actually gave there were two women out of this three women group, gave their own, recounting of the story. They were out, they're walking down in the New Orleans area, and they looked up at it's a well-known church with like a bell area above, and they see a door open and a man come out and he's standing, and then all of a sudden they all get this, oh my God, he's gonna jump. Like he had the motion of he's gonna jump. And they all scream. The one lady screams, oh my God, he's jumping. And the guy steps off the ledge and flies away. And they're like, oh my God, he's flying.
Like your bat there. You're like
Correct. But he didn't change shape. It was just he was a man. He flew away. They and these women both recounted it on a television show. And if I could find this show I'm talking about, I'll throw it in the description here. But a lot of weird stuff is, and again, funny, Rye. We always, nick a thing that we're going to talk about here, and it takes a turn and goes elsewhere. But you know what? It makes for a good show, man. People
I do too.
like to discuss.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that one. I think that's how naturally our conversations go, and that's what the energy flows where it needs to go, more or less.
Right.
Yeah, and there was someone else. Sorry, it was someone else.
There is an actual show, so Logan, about vampires in Louisiana.
Was saying about energy vampires, which I 100% believe. Like maybe you could be on the fence about actually blood-sucking vampires, but energy vampires 100%. Like when you spend time with someone and you're like, oh my God, that person's so draining. What do you think they're draining? Why do you think that is? They're draining your energy. They're draining your life force from you. Some of them might not even know they're actually doing it, but then you got some that do, and they thrive on that. Like think about everybody who is famous who really shouldn't be famous, maybe Logan Paul, or maybe it's the like the Kardashians or something like that. And they just continue to suck people in, and they will sit there and watch them. Okay. And it's a form of worship. When you sit there and you watch someone, you're worshiping them, right? You're like, oh, I'm going to go buy I'm going to buy what they got. I'm going to buy their stuff. I'm going to do that. For the fact of like no other reason than, you just sucked into that. So you got to be careful with these energy vampires that we're not, we got to be careful where we're energy. Yeah, my ex-boyfriend.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. So just be careful, and if we always have that saying, trust your gut. Trust it for a reason, right? There's a reason why we trust it, because it's telling us like that's our energy center, right? That's our one of our chakras. I'm trying to remember which one, your third or fourth chakra. Solar plexus, and trust it. And if it's telling you that I don't trust this, I don't like this, then follow it. Follow that intuition and go or leave or trust the message.
Agreed.
Message. Yeah.
So let's move on back to where we had gotten. If anybody wants to ask more questions about, skinwalkers, ghosts,
by all means,
vampires, guys, just throw it in. This show's for you. So, Lyson had asked, did I know when that occurred? I believe it was in the 2000s when that man was found in the hotel room skinned. Let's see here. Jack Spring has a comment. There's one instance of a documented zombie in Haiti. His name, yes, I heard this story. His name was Clairvius Narcisse. I hope I'm saying it right. It's an actual documented case. He escaped his slaver, died, and returned home. Yes, his sister, actually, he returned home to her, if I believe that was who he returned to, Jack. If I'm wrong, let me know. But I think it was his sister that found him, and the guy, talked about dying and everything. And, they did, the black voodoo kind of stuff with him. And there was all kinds of different stuff that happened with him, if I remember right.
Mm-hmm. Jeez, that's some crazy stuff, man. There's
Oh boy, yeah. There's just anything and everything. I truly believe, honestly, after what occurred with me, anything's possible. Anything is possible.
It has to. After you see that, or after you have an experience, unfortunately, something that is impossible has now become possible. That means it all has to be possible. It doesn't mean it all is, but it's possible. There's a possibility for it all now. And like when we're talking about time travel and whatnot, I really believe wholeheartedly. And if anybody's had this type of experience, please tell me. Has anybody had any experiences of time travel in their sleep? Okay, because I completely believe that we subconsciously can time travel. Okay, and it's not physically, but it's consciously or subconsciously. We can transfer, such as a quantum leap. Okay, like there is kind of almost like a quantum entanglement. I believe there's a much larger quantum entanglement where we are connected to other ourselves in other timelines. And when we fall asleep, we kind of remove those limitations that we put on in this world. This world puts limitations on us, and we do it as well. But when we fall asleep, those limitations go away. We are able to traverse to other times and other places, forward, backwards, and sideways. So you raised your hand there, Matt. Is there something that you've had some time travel dreams as well?
I have. BJ, I'll get back to you. BJ had sent me a text.
For sure.
I'm not sure which one, BJ. She's awesome. She always looks up stuff for me. And I can't remember.
You got to give her the wrench. You got to give her a wrench.
She's, you know what? That's right. I totally forgot about it. She's getting the wrench, BJ. You're gonna get one. I want to answer Logan real quick. He said, "Are there real monsters like Loch Ness monsters and other lake monsters?" Oh, 100%. People have got video of strange things in the water. There's a newer video out there. I remember it was on one of these shows I watch all the time of a couple on I think it might have been in Illinois. They were in a lake, and they actually got a video of this. It looked like a gigantic, like huge. I mean, guys, we're talking wider than I can show you. My hands were of like an eel or snake looking type of serpent, a sea serpent creature, or it could have been elsewhere in salt water. I remember this couple, they gave their, account of it. Then, they, on these shows, they remake it and stuff, but they had the actual video. It's always on, I watch the show all the time. Oh, Paranormal caught on video. It's a show I watch all the time on Roku and stuff. It's Paranormal Caught something. It's a real popular show, and that's where they had this thing caught on tape. Yeah, Rye, you want to give your opinion on that?
I completely believe it. Like growing up, not in the province that I lived in, or state as you guys would call it, but a province that I lived in. The next one over, we have one of the most documented sea creatures in the world, and not many people know about it, which is strange. But it's called the Ogopogo. And there's been a recent photo of the Ogopogo, the head of the Ogopogo, which looks identical to what it was always said to look like. And this was maybe like 3 years ago that this photo was taken. So people are interested, look up the Ogopogo, and you can see that. Now, my father-in-law's business partner saw it as well. He said it was kind of like eel-like, like serpentine-like as well. So he had saw it, and he said, I don't have to convince anybody of what I saw. I know what I saw. If you don't want to believe me, I don't care. But this is what I saw. Mm-hmm. So it seems that the dream, my dream comment has brought up a lot of people wanting to talk about dreams. So I don't know if we want to go that route, Matt.
Yeah, we can. Absolutely, man. We can come back. You're always a regular here. We can always go back to the time stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's no problem. It's regular.
we really should do like, instead of doing like a specific subject, we should do like hodgepodge night, potluck night with
Right.
Rye and
We
Matt.
always have the best time when we were like, guys, what do you want to talk about? What are your
Yeah.
questions? I've had multiple dreams where I myself of
Mhm.
going back in time, of going forward in time. I've had dreams where, I've gone back in time knowing about the health issues that I've had, losing my leg below the knee when I was playing football, and had that mindset there that I would do everything possible to, hopefully not allow that to occur. I also had other time slip, if you want to call them that, nightmares or dreams. I had one where I went back in time like it was the Old West, and I met a woman that I like was completely in love with. I remember even waking up and having like the feeling of like I lost something from waking up. But I was in this dream stuck back in time, and it got negative. It turned bad. Like I shot a man and was being hunted down to be hung and all this stuff. So it was pretty crazy, man. Have had a number of other ones. I mean, I could probably think of about 5 or 6 times I've dreamt of going forward in time and backwards in time.
Yeah, I believe it's completely accessible. Like, I see Scott from South Carolina saying, "My dreams are premonitions that are 1 to 2 years ahead." Speaking of that, and I believe I've talked about this many times, is where I had that. I had an event where I went to a church. There was a gentleman putting on a event for about his mission to Peru. He was giving out audio Bibles and Braille computers for blind people. And he invited us there, and we go there. I'm sitting at this table, and this one lady is talking to me, and she is saying how she's had. She's asking me, like, "Oh, is this a beautiful church? This is a beautiful church." I'm like, "Yeah, it is." She's like, "Is this your church?" And I was like, "No." And she's like, "Well, which is your church?" And I told her, I at that time, I don't really go to church. I said my church is outside, with what God has created. Cut open the wood, there I am. Break open a stone, you'll find me, so to speak. And this is exactly what I was saying, almost word for word. And she was getting quite heated. Okay, then. So fast forward, so the conversation was over, but I kept calm, and my wife was surprised. She's like, "You kept really calm when she was getting all upset." But fast forward now a couple of weeks, or maybe like a month and a half or 2 months, and I'm going through my dream journal, and my wife, I asked my wife, like, when did this event happen? And she's like, "Oh, it was in February." I'm like, no, specifically, when did it happen? And so she gives me the exact date, and that's when I showed her this dream that I had written down 4 years to the day. This event, I wrote down exactly what happened. I wrote down that I got in an argument with a lady. We're having this specific argument about, being in church. And I was saying, I don't go to church, that this is what I do. So, and it was 4 years to the exact day, so was that a time slip? I believe so. Or it was like a premonition of what was to come. We totally have access to that. Paranormal caught on camera. There we go.
Thanks, BJ.
Yeah, so we have access to like the back doors. We have like the back rooms. It's almost like the back rooms, and we can use our mind to go into these. We can go into these other worlds, whether it be ours, and like Matt, like you were saying, when you went into your. Okay, I'm gonna ask you, did you go into your younger self, or did you go into someone else that was in that same timeline, or was it you in that timeline?
I was
at
younger.
this age? Okay,
Yeah.
that's and I've done that before too, where I've gone back, and I knew if I change the events. So let's just say, Matt, let's say you did change the events, then you would change your total future as well, right? We're talking your daughter and Stacy as well, right?
Right.
So that
Would
is,
I do that? Would I want that to happen?
or would
No.
you? No. Yeah, it's
No.
and I was faced with a situation like that where I was able to avoid some very difficult times in my life, and then not be where I was today, and I chose. I'm like, no, I have to go through that. I have to, I have to allow myself. I can't change anything. I have to just ride it through, you know.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've often, I had a buddy of mine when I used to really be into collecting comics. I haven't collected them for years. I used to buy my comic books from this one store that's not open, and the guy that owned it, him and I got to be really good friends. And of course, he loved me. He called me one of his big guns that always bought a ton of comics. But we actually became friends. And he would ask me, I remember he was standing there with his girlfriend one day and they were talking about, if you could have any kind of superpower. He goes, I know Matt will have the same thought that I do. He said, Matt, if you could have any superpower, what would it be? And I stood there and I thought about it for a while. I'm like, of course you're going to get a lot of people. They're going to say, I'd love to fly. I'd love to do this. And I'd love to do that. I had already had a number of things happen to me. And I also thought about things that I could do to change, my life financially and things. So I said to him, I'd like to do a lot of different stuff, but time travel would be one of my first picks. And he goes, I knew you were going to say that. And I have thought about it. I've thought about, going back and like getting comic books that were worth a crap load of money, like the first Fantastic Fours and things like that. And, but like now I would do that if I could do it now and not mess with my status quo. But, I thought about, changing things in the past and, if I could stop me from getting hurt or for some of those issues and my football career wouldn't have stopped and I would have gone to the pros and been able to further my career, very good chance I might not have had the situation where we have my daughter. I was dating my wife at that time, but who knows, maybe that would have changed everything up as well. So
We don't know. What I believe the timeline that we're in is like a big river. Okay, I want you guys to imagine a big river. Okay, now I take a little change and I throw it into the river. Okay, like it's a rock and I throw it into the river. Is that going to adjust the time flow? Is that going to make a big change? No, it's not. So such as, I'm going to grab these comics. I'm going to buy these comics. That is not a big enough change, okay? But if you do something that is a huge change, it would be like dumping a ton of rocks into the river, okay? So a huge change. You are going to redirect that flow. So you're going to take it off the prime timeline, which is what we're in. Like, we are conscious of the prime timeline. These other timelines that are running at the same time, we're not conscious in them, okay? We're taking part of them, but we're not conscious in them, okay? So we are in the prime timeline. But if we do something huge, we can misdirect this timeline and we can jump timelines, okay? This is wholeheartedly what I believe. I actually did a huge write-up on this years ago about the prime timeline, okay? So we need to be careful about any type of time travel and changes. Now, do I believe that's where Mandela effects come into play? Quite possibly.
I do.
Quite possibly. People are going back and they're changing things. Okay, it's not to the biggest degree that it's allowing us to jump timelines, but it's little nuances, little changes. Okay, now, are some of those actually psyops, like government psyops that they're doing? I've heard that they are actually trying to perform these to see if they can get the masses to believe that something never existed, or if one thing was one way and not the other. So it's very interesting to think of this. But I really believe that time travel is possible.
I think that the government has the ability to do it.
And I don't think it's physical time travel. I think would require a lot of energy or just the right mixture, okay? To do it with a machine, you need some immense energy to create
Which could be why they're using those colliders all over the place.
It very much could be. You are correct. Now, conscious, like I feel that there is a mechanical aspect to time travel, but there's also a spiritual aspect, okay? The spiritual, or magic as we may call it, is the way that we used to be able to do things. We used to be able to do things with a lot of magic, but now we're trying to copy that with technology and mechanical sides of it. So we're trying to mimic what can be done through magic or spiritual astral travel. So that is kind of what's happening. That requires a lot of energy, whereas this astral travel or this spiritual travel, which is time travel as well, can be time travel, requires not a lot of like energy that we would assume that would be like power plants and things like that, but it requires a lot of dedication, a lot of training, and a lot of practice. But sometimes it can just happen. It's just one of those things, such as like those time slips and whatnot.
Right. And you know what, real quick, Louise, I was just thinking about the Nazi bell. That could have been something that they were using to time travel. Very good hit there, Louise. Very smart. I want to bring up, there was a question just a second ago asked, I think it was, let me see, I think it might have been, let's see, sorry.
No, it's
Might
all
have
right.
been Logan Arnold. I think he asked, you know, is it possible, do you believe it's possible that people live different lives? Oh my God, 100%. Just think about deja vu, just the word deja vu. Think about you having deja vu. How many times you've thought, you know what, I've done this before. I've been there before, but I've never been there before. I know I've been here. But physically, you've never gone in this life. I think we all have lived multiple lives, and who knows if we're going to be living multiple lives until we've done things just so right until we get the pass to move on.
Yeah, that I agree completely with you, Matt. I agree that we are, living multitude of lives all at the same time, quite possibly all at the same time. This is all speculation, but this is something that I do believe that we are living this all at the same time, and we just have to be careful. And deja vu is. My belief of deja vu is we're kind of getting a second chance at something. Something happened and it kind of rewound us, step back, do it again. I also believe, though, when we see a deja vu or we feel a deja vu, it means you're on the right track. You're on the right path. There's something you're doing that's right. So you're kind of on the right track. And the one that I actually like a lot more is a déjà reveille. I don't know if anybody knows. That is, it's like deja vu. It's like, oh, I think I've done this before. But no, I think I've done this before from a dream. So it is, I've experienced this in a dream, but now I'm experiencing it in waking life. So this is our waking life, and then we have our dream life as well. So déjà reveille means, and I've had this before. I had this one factory déjà reveille. I didn't say a factory, but I was in like a carpet factory, a carpet warehouse, sorry, and it was in a dream, and then I was in that one in reality, I was in a certain area kind of in Chihuahua, Mexico, and it was like that's one I can come up that's off the top of my head that this is a déjà reveille. So they're very, very interesting. Very interesting.
That is interesting. BJ, by the way, I just wanted to tell BJ that you now have the power of the wrench, BJ. So I believe I just did it, so I don't know how long it takes for that to pop up.
Yeah.
But you now have it, BJ.
Wield it as you should.
Yes. Be good with its power. With great power.
Great power comes great responsibility. Oh my God.
Right.
I was trying to think of that, and then you started it. Like, yeah, there we go. Yeah. Yeah. It's there's so much to this world that we don't know, and that's what we do with our shows. I think our shows, we're trying to piece these things together. It's a huge puzzle. And whenever we interview someone who's had an experience, it's, sometimes we get an answer, we get an answer by maybe confirmation because, oh, that happened to that person now, and I know it happened to this person as well. Maybe, it's a third person, and even though it's anecdotal evidence, when you have so many people coming together to bring these ideas and these these events that have happened, it gives you a little bit of confirmation that this is happening, and it also makes you feel like you're not crazy as well because you're like,
right.
Oh, shit, someone else is having the same experience as I did. Yeah.
Diana Taylor says, She wants the donkey piss and necrophilia icon.
I,
Okay.
I'm thinking Diana is watching like
The
she's about,
Skinwalker. Yeah,
yeah,
she's
so she's
behind a
about
little
45
bit.
minutes behind. Yeah.
Lyson, I am absolutely going to find that for you. I haven't been actively finding that, but I will find you the show that I saw that news clip of the man being skinned
Um,
alive in his hot
send
tub.
send that to me as well, as
I will.
morbid as that is,
Yeah, it
morbid.
is, but it's really interesting, at least in the fact of anyone that's questioning, vampires don't exist or those that, and then something like that occurs where a guy was openly looking for vampires or proof of them where they hung out. I want to be one. And let me tell you something. There's a lot of people out there. And of course, there's the people romanticizing the movies. What was the famous ones with the
Interview with a
love
Vampire.
story? Yeah, no, not
Oh,
Interview with the
Twilight.
Vampire. Yeah,
Twilight.
Twilight and stuff. I want to be a vampire. I guarantee it's not all fun and lights and love but I'm sure there's some positives that happen to them as well. But you got a lot of people out there. I'm sure people would be absolutely shocked at the number of say, if you could become a vampire, would you? I'm sure a
Yeah,
ton of people would want to be.
ton of people. So,
So
by that, there would be a ton of people who would be willing to do some things to get there. And
skinwalkers included.
yep, yeah, exactly. Oh, shout out to Orban. Orban is in the chat from Cryptical Crossroads. He just started his channel, so good on you, Orban. Good to see you here.
Hey, Orvin, welcome.
And he just lost his job today after, I think he said, like 12 years. So
Oh
sorry
man,
about that too. That's
I'm so sorry.
yeah, yeah.
That's horrible.
But sometimes things happen for a reason, and when it first negatives first when something first negative happens, it sucks, but maybe something else comes along the way that will push us in the right direction and
Right.
give us that go. Yeah. So Matt, how are you doing? Are you still want to go in for a little bit more, or are you kind of
Well, let's see. Does anybody have any questions here? So the reason Rye's asking me that is I've had a really bad migraine all day, and I said I wanted to go about an hour and a half, and we're at that point. If anybody has questions, like I'm okay, and I could go longer. If anybody wants to ask any questions, to us about anything, let us know. We'll keep the show rolling here. Just to let everybody know. Again, I've had tons of questions. Yeah, good thing, Lyson. Don't drink the donkey piss.
please don't. Yeah.
And this is fun, BJ. Agreed. I love having a lot of people asking me about the specifics about when I'm going to be, going, boots on the ground and going to these specific places in September. I don't have an exact date, but in September, I am 100% going to be going with David Wolf from ETS, Exposing the Strange, who's been a guest here, one of the sponsors of the show as well. We're going to be going to Newcastle, Pennsylvania, to the one place I always forget the name of. So hold on, and this is definitely a.
I also want to give a shout out to my hater as well. I have someone who is not happy that I come on your show often. So sorry, man. It happens.
Okay.
It was on after my interview on Josh Inokio's What Lurks Beneath podcast that he released it on. There was someone commenting. They're like, "Oh, this is the guy that always shows up on Planet 412." He's like, "Oh, like I wish you would just stay away," or something like that. Wish you would just.
That he doesn't want you on my show.
No, no.
Okay. Well, like
That's
just
okay.
putting
You know
that
what,
out
though?
there.
everybody's entitled to their opinion, and not everybody's going to like me. That's okay, and I'm okay with that. And so I'm just going to apologize. Sorry,
Well,
here I am again.
I'm going to put it out real quick for whoever that is. Rye is one of my very best friends in the world. In fact, this is a great time here, Rye, for us to bring this up. I'm glad that you kind of did that. Rye is wanting to. Did you want to talk about what we're?
No,
No, you don't. Okay. Well,
it's no. I don't feel right about it. So
okay.
yeah,
That's up to you, brother. I'd be happy to.
yeah. No, I was thinking I do it on my own show. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't. I feels weird. So I'm
Brother,
like,
man, it's up to you. I'm always here for you.
yeah.
You're my
And I know
brother.
you are, and I know you are, and that's why. And I've been thinking about it, and it kind of it's been bothering me, but I'm like, nah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's no problem, brother. Whatever makes you happy, I am on your
Look at
side.
everybody's. Look at all these people in the chat. I love you, Rye. You're great. You're
Rye is
awesome.
the
And I'm like,
man. And
thanks.
he's also doing a great job. Rye's almost to 6,000 subscribers on his channel.
Yes.
And
Knocking on the
BJ,
door. 6,000.
forget Thor. I have BJ with her wrench. Yes, Haunted Hillview Manor. Absolutely correct. That is where I always forget. That's where we're going to be going. And I believe BJ, if she can make it, is going to come with us as well. I want BJ there for multiple reasons. Because, number one, she lives in PA. But.
Yeah.
And I love BJ, and we've gotten to be very close. Thank you, Kel, from the In Between. Carol Ann is one of my best friends as well. Carol Ann also going to be going on a trip with me, boots on the ground, in the future. We're going to be going to Kentucky in Hellier, Kentucky. Anybody that doesn't know the name of that place, just look up a search on Prime Video, put in Hellier, and that will explain everything to you. That's a place that we're going to be going together. But I want BJ there because she knows a lot about protection, like Rye does, about protecting us with different crystals. And she's a sensitive as well. And I want a sensitive. I'm a sensitive, but I am not where BJ is. BJ is on a whole nother level of where I am. BJ sees and has been seeing specters and ghosts for a long time, so much so that it doesn't even bother her when she has experiences. Like she told me she saw a shadow person the other day with her husband, and he didn't see it. She saw it, and she was just like, okay, whatever. It didn't really bug me. It was just like, whatever.
Yeah.
I want her with us because of that. And
Of course.
who's laughing? Carol, coming to my house here in Kentucky. I'll let you know when we're heading. I'll give the dates, guys. So, you asked a question?
Yeah,
Lyson?
Lyson asked a question a long time ago, and I've been meaning
I'm so sorry.
No, so Lyson's asking, do vampires just look like normal people? I believe they do, but I think you're going to find them with much more different. They'll be slightly different, maybe more of like sunken features, a little more pale, and sharp, or maybe more sharper features. Like drinking human blood will affect you. Like that's something that you are not supposed to do, and I often wonder how often we're given, and this is another morbid thing, but I wonder how often we're given human stuff
And what we eat,
and what we eat.
I agree.
When you go to McDonald's, when you go to any of the fast food joints, I have a friend, another podcaster, JJ Vance, not the vice president as he always says. There was a serial killer who worked at a fast food restaurant, and he would eat at that fast food restaurant, and that serial killer was found out that would be serving ground meat, like mixing the ground meat.
Yes, I heard of that. Oh,
So JJ ate at he was served food by this person, so he doesn't know if he's ever eaten. Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's really horrifying because if brain matter could get in there, you could die from that. You could get serious issues with your nervous system. If you look up online health problems from eating human body parts, specifically the brain, you will see that, like, for instance, they got some of those islands where people, are far from humans. They don't know much about, today and such, where people would die in their tribes and they would just cook them and eat them. Some of their
As
tribe
you do.
sorry.
I said, as you do.
Right. And some of the tribe members would get severe neurological problems where it would get worse and worse until it caused death. It can be likened to mad cow disease when they were feeding feeding cows, the stuff, they would grind them up and feed them themselves, which is a horrible thing to do. So yeah, that's really scary, man. That could have been really bad.
Disturbing, very disturbing, and it's kind of one of those things where it's like, yeah, like it's not so common to eat fast food here. Like where I live here in Mexico, fast food is not as common. So yeah, a lot of stuff is made from scratch, and I like it that way. I think that's a lot better.
No, I agree 100%. I'm not a big fast food person myself.
Lesson learned: don't be a cannibal.
Right. Definitely, Lyson. Don't
Now,
eat people.
now think about it though. If we're unintentionally being like cannibals, unintentional cannibals, isn't that like turning into a Wendigo? Isn't that kind of something that that might push you down that road? It could be really affecting us. Or what is that, Soylent Green? That was. Do you ever read the book or the movie Soylent Green?
I've heard of it, yes.
Yeah, they discovered that it's like processed people is kind of what
Right.
the main ingredient is. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I've seen a show talk about Soylent Green about that.
yeah,
I never saw the actual show, but I heard of it. How horrifying that would be.
exactly. And like BJ said, not a fast food fan either. Those burgers aren't even real meat. Now, this is the crazy thing: is that McDonald's, they have 100% beef, right? They say 100% beef burgers. That's the name. That's the name of the burgers. It's not 100% beef burgers.
It's the cow, basically, different parts.
No. It's the burger patty is the company. Like let's say it's a product. Like let's say I bought Lucky Charms. I'm eating Lucky Charms.
Oh,
Okay,
are
well,
you kidding me?
yeah. So like let's say you're eating Lucky Charms. Well, that's cereal. So you're eating cereal.
Right.
And it's called Lucky Charms. Well, this one, they're called 100% beef patties or beef burgers. But
That's the name of the company.
that's the name of the product. That's the name of the
Oh.
product. It's not what you're eating.
We drove by. I had amazing pizza, by the way, for dinner tonight. My family and I drove by numerous McDonald's. I remember looking at McDonald's tonight and saying to my wife and daughter, like, man, look how many people are pulling in the McDonald's for dinner. I'm like, man, I can't even eat that stuff. I'll eat maybe like a breakfast sandwich from there once in a blue moon, but man, I can't eat the hamburgers or anything. I get really sick. But yeah, man, we ate it. We ate one of the best pizza places in our area that's full of great pizza in the Youngstown, Ohio area. This was in Boardman, Ohio, and it was called Gia Angelo's. And man, if anybody's ever in Boardman, Ohio, stop at Gia Angelo's, boy. And that was absolutely fun. We had their 5 cheese pizza. It had ricotta on it and everything. Oh my God, was it good? Go ahead, Rye.
And Lyson, yeah, I agree. Lyson doesn't prove that they're not using beef. It doesn't. But if you saw a product that was 100% real beef, I think that's what it's called. 100% real beef is what it was called. You would buy it. but it's full of fillers. They're using mealworms. That 100% they were using mealworms from a long time ago. So it's clear as day that that's what they're using as a filler within their burger. Yeah, I do agree. I do think they did have beef in there. Of course they did, but they're just things are more cheaper. Let's cut in, kind of
Right.
when you talk about drugs, when they would cut drugs, to make them less pure so they can make more money. That's kind of what they were doing, so to speak, with their foods. But it's very important, to just to be careful, on everything. Yeah, yeah. And I feel that a lot of people are eating McDonald's out of necessity because it's so much cheaper, and you like to eat real food is more expensive. To eat food that is made properly is more expensive, and then you get like this processed crap and it's extremely cheap. So people, that is what they're being forced to eat, is that it's out of necessity, and it's terrible. It is
It
absolutely.
is, BJ says I was watching a show where it showed how they make meat for the fast food places. It's mostly fillers and added colors to make it appear like real beef. And also, if anybody's ever seen how they make hot dogs, I don't eat hot dogs, by the way, because I found out from my teacher when I was in I was in ninth grade at Ursuline High School. My teacher, Mr. Sanders, my science teacher, said he used to work at a butcher company, and he said, "Anybody in here like hot dogs?" And of course, a number of people, "Yeah, I love hot dogs," and I never really cared for them. I was like, "Yeah, not really." He's like, "Oh, well, good." He says, "Because if you guys saw the ends and the stuff that goes into those, you would never eat them again. And unless it's like a really well made one where
Yeah.
they put all of the stuff on their packaging, and I would stick away from those type of things."
Yeah, and I see license saying it's time for RFK to shine. I agree to an extent. RFK is cleaning up a lot of things, and some people just get so triggered by certain names. You mention a name and they're like RFK. I hate that guy. But allow him to step back and just see the changes that he's making. Questioning things, which we finally are allowed to question. And I say yes. I don't think he's doing enough. I honestly don't think he's doing enough, because as soon as you get into government, you're going to be blackmailed, you're going to be controlled, and you're going to be able to do what you should be doing. So there's a lot of things going on. I don't necessarily think he's the savior of all, but I think he's making some good changes. I think there's a lot of people out there who could make a lot more changes and just be like that's it, boom, this is it. But unfortunately, he's not the man. He's not the man. He's doing some things, which is good. He's about 60%, maybe 50% the man that we want.
Who's this again?
RFK.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's making some good changes into the health right now, but there's so many more that need to happen. So many more. Getting fluoride out of the water is such a big thing. That
Huge. I not to interrupt you, Rye. We just
Please go.
had
Please go.
Dolly Saffron on. She's a really well-known UFO alien experiencer, and she said that what some of the things that they told her was, don't drink the fluorinated water, that is a huge problem that's causing issues with us, also slowing down human beings from being able to access different parts of our brains that we should be accessing. And funny
Yeah,
you bring that up.
calcifying the pineal gland.
Hmm.
It actually makes you dumber. Okay, so it is creating a dumber population. I am being 100% honest. I think it's close to 13 to 30% that it reduces your the mental capacity, like the IQ range. It's dropping that if you're drinking fluorinated water. So it's so imperative that you get it out, and it's industrial waste. The what they're putting, the fluoride that they're putting in, is industrial waste. Okay, so
Yeah.
it's like, let's get this. There is a lot of conspiracies, and I don't know, and I don't want to get behind it, but I don't know that they're like, oh, they put fluorinated water in concentration camps to subdue the population. Meaning,
Is that right?
this is a conspiracy that I don't know. So I'm not going to say, yeah, that's true. That's a possibility, but it might be wrong, and I'm willing to throw that one out and say, yep, that's not.
If that's true, that is mind blowing and what should absolutely infuriate everyone.
There is a rabbit hole that I'm going down now, talking about like the concentration camps. There is a rabbit hole that I'm going down on that one, and that is danger area that I don't think I will ever bring up on my show, but I think that's something that everybody should go down. The numbers. That's what I will say. The numbers of people that were said to be killed cannot literally happen. Cannot happen.
Okay. Well, I mean, so you're afraid to talk about what rabbit hole you're down, and you and I are going to have to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not afraid to talk about much.
Well, this one will get you. Like,
Okay.
So I would say.
What do you mean by that? So it wasn't possible for that many people to be killed?
Yeah. Because there
What do
wasn't.
you mean by that?
Because there wasn't that many people. Of that, so they said, and they also said that those numbers were immensely inflated. Like they said it was around close to 6 million, then they reduced it down. I think it was to like almost 2 million. So we're talking
in World War II, you mean?
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
And we're talking like that amount of like it's one thing to say, oh, there's like 20,000, 30,000. We're talking, 4 million difference. So this is something that I think everybody should look into this, okay? Because I'm learning more and more and more. I'll leave it at that because there's so much more that I'm like I'm seeing some more and more the light, and it's like it's a scary thing.
I'm going to have to talk to you about things after the show.
What is BJ saying? So when I was young in grade school, they had fluoride tablets that they handed out in school, and we all got one tablet a day, lined up at the water fountain to get a drink. So, BJ, when I was in school, we got little Dixie cups of fluoride, and we had to like swirl it around. And I freaking hated that so much. It was this fluoridated, like this drink that you had to swish around in your mouth and then spit out. And I would try to like pretend I was doing it, and I would try to like not do it, but we were like forced to do this.
If it's really being done to cause the things that they say it does, how nefarious that shit is.
Mm-hmm. And there's so many people that say they're like, oh, but there's too many people on it. There's too many people that would be in on it. But no, that's not the point. Too many people believe that it's good for you.
Right.
Okay? And that is what keeps getting pushed in. So these people think that they're doing good. Okay. So like the teachers who forced us to gargle this fluoridated
just believed it was good for you.
They believed it was good for it. It's good for your teeth.
Yeah.
This is what it is. It's good for your teeth. Okay. No, it's not. It has nothing to do. It's not going to do that. The Soviet Union put fluoride in the water, the gulags to pacify the inmates. Okay. Yeah, so fluoride is something that there is. So in the city that I used to live in back in Canada before I moved here, they stopped the fluoride. They stopped it, and they just last year reinstated the fluoride again. And I have friends who are literally in legal battles fighting it right now.
Hey, Vanica, welcome. Good morning.
So there are people who are fighting this, and one thing they'll show you. So there was a graph that they showed. This was the graph that they would show, that they showed the water fluoridation stopped, and then they showed the correlation of rise in cavities. Okay, so they showed this water fluoridation stopped and the rise in cavities. Okay, they said that look at this relationship, and we have this graph right here to prove this. The issue is that they didn't show the 5 years prior or like the 10 years prior where it was fluoridated water and it was still on the same trajectory. Okay. So they just show you this part. Look at here. Boom. but they didn't show you the part before where it was on the same trajectory that cavities were happening no matter what. When the water was fluoridated, the cavities are happening. The water stopped fluoridation, the cavities were happening. Okay, so it's something else. That's the problem, is that there's too many people trying to Bill Gates had a book when he used to do a lot of his interviews. He would have a book beside him, and it was How to Lie with Statistics. This is exactly it. Lying with statistics. I show you the statistics, and you believe it, such as global warming. Whenever they show you global warming graphs, they always show you global warming around the 70s. They start at the 70s and they go up. Reason being is because that's when the last cyclical change happened, when the air temperature was extremely low. That's when the scientists at that time were saying we're headed for another ice age, an ice age, an ice age. And of course, so the temperatures are down here, and that now they're going up. So it shows this huge rise. You're like, oh my God, look at this rise from 1970 to now. But guess what though? We're back on that cyclical drop right now. In Antarctica, there are, they've been gaining, like, is it billions or trillions of tons of ice are forming? And they just decided to report on that now because they couldn't hide it anymore, that this has been happening now for years. For years, the ice shelf has been growing. Oh, mind blowing, must be all that tax dollars that I've been spending, to stop the global warming finally helped. And now the ice shelf is growing. In Canada, for years as well, the ice from the Arctic has been coming down into what's called the Hudson Bay, and it's so thick that some of the ships can't even leave. Even the icebreakers were having problems trying to break the ice to get these ships out of the Hudson Bay. We're not yes, we are in a climate change. We've always been in a climate change. Everything has been happening on the climate change. It's cyclical. Everything is cyclical, and it's ridiculous. It's what these people are doing, like I think Bill Gates is a mid-level player. I think he's as evil as evil. Like him wanting to spray particles, what is it? Like graphene particles, or I think it's graphene particles into the sky to reflect the sun.
Yeah, because it does. If you want to know how well it does it, just look at what they use graphene. I use it on my car, protect it from the elements and stuff. So that would make sense that they would use something like that.
Yeah, it's crazy. And because they're actually thinking that building cloud cover will help with the global warming. They think it's going to shield it, but we had a perfect time to conduct some tests. I know we've gone to global warming, now we're into conspiracies, but there was a perfect time to conduct tests when we had no cloud cover because of airplanes, like the airplane pollution and everything. It had to do when we had 9/11. 9/11, all planes were grounded, okay? So there literally was no cloud seeding, there were no clouds in the sky, and they were able to actually run some tests, and they proved that when there's no clouds in the sky, the Earth cools down because the clouds are holding it in. The sun is still coming through, but the clouds are like a blanket, an insulating layer, and they're keeping the heat in. So the more clouds we create by these cloud seeding, which now we know they're doing chemtrails. So what they're doing is they think they're going to prevent the global warming, but they're making it worse. And I'm just going on a rant here.
Well, I got something here I want to bring up on dental.
Please go.
On dental fluorosis, the most clearly established side effect of excessive fluoride, especially during childhood tooth development, is dental fluorosis, a cosmetic issue that can cause white patches, brown stains, and even pitting of the tooth enamel in moderate to severe cases. It can also negatively impact adolescents' self-esteem. A water fluoride concentration of 1 milligram moderate fluorosis affects about 1 to 2% of children. At 2 milligrams, it affects around 10%, which is a very large number. Skeletal fluorosis, long-term intake of high fluoride levels can lead to skeletal fluorosis characterized by bone and joint pain, stiffness increased, fracture risk, joint mobility issues, even bone thickening or ossification. Weakened bones or higher risk of hip wrist fractures have been associated with fluoride levels in water between 1 to 4 milligrams. Recent studies, including meta-analysis and government reviews, suggest a possible link between higher fluoride exposure, especially above 1.5 milligrams, and lower IQ scores. Lower IQ scores in children. Animal studies show learning and memory deficits only at fluoride levels far exceeding those used in water fluoridation. There is a growing concern around prenatal fluoride exposure neurodevelopment, though the evidence remains debated. Healthy individuals typically tolerate fluoride well at recommended levels, but kidney patients may be more vulnerable. Chronic intake above 12 milligrams a day with fluoride water around 4 milligrams might lead to kidney damage and fluid imbalance. Then it's just going on and on. Thyroid and iodine.
It's poison. It is poison. We are being poisoned.
Oh, this is a good thing.
Yeah.
Claims of fluoride as mind control agent. The idea that fluoride has been used for mind control or population control is not supported by credible scientific evidence. Of course, they're not going to admit that.
No.
Institutions such as the Yale School of Public Health explicitly describe such notions as urban legends or false statements. Of course, you can't believe what they tell you. Wow, and I've seen that as well, where they say it calcifies
The pineal gland.
which can cause so much. And they say the pineal gland has a lot of things that it can actually accomplish that people have no idea about.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's so true. It's so true, and it's sad. We're being poisoned on all levels, all fronts. No matter what, you go outside, you breathe the air, being poisoned, and there's so much that we need to be worried about. I could go on for hours on this.
yeah, we could just, like you said, good choice of words, go down the rabbit hole. We could go on and on and on. It just, like, I'm actually getting angry over the thought of, and if all these issues with fluoride come true, that it's been doing that to our pineal glands, that they've purposely been doing this to control us, to keep us more,
Docile.
under control, right? Man, we'll be long gone when they find that out, I'm sure.
Well, it's a long-term game plan is what they're doing. It's like we see these things and we're like, oh, I'll be fine. That's not going to really affect me. No, it's not the point. It's about slowly reducing our intelligence. You just keep reducing it. Now, I see Scott from the South Carolina brings up microplastics. I was actually going to bring up something about this. So there is I'm not saying it's a study, but it's a review. It's a collection of all these other studies about microplastics from the disposable masks. So if you, God forbid, you're still wearing a mask, please don't. You're breathing in microplastics. They're going into your lungs. Okay, so microplastics are going into your lungs from these things. The masks don't work. They don't work at all. That's what I will say. But yeah, we are being poisoned on a global scale.
They're culling the herd.
Oh, 100% they are. They are calling the herd, and it's crazy though. So we all have to be aware of everything you're taking in. Your underarm deodorants. Your antiperspirant.
There's a lot of new natural ones where they don't put the aluminums and things like that.
Okay, I thought I was like, I bought one that I was like, yeah, this is the crystal. Okay, I'm going to use this crystal. It's aluminum crystal.
My God!
And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? So my wife makes our own underarm deodorant, and it sounds funny.
A lot of people do.
Yeah. So we use like what is that? cornstarch, coconut oil, and like a natural and baking soda, and like a essential oil, and that is
And
it.
and it works just like other things.
No. It doesn't work like other things. It actually works
Better.
better. Yes.
Wow.
Like we used and tea tree oil. It's tea tree oil that we use for the
Which is very good for your body.
yes. So there's so many ways about that. So there's and I actually want to bring up a good point here now with fluoride. A lot of people like to use reverse osmosis. Okay, now the issue with reverse osmosis is you pull out absolutely everything out of the water. The water is kind of like a dead water. So what happens is if you're drinking the water, you will get like this, like it needs to be balanced. So if you drink dead water, it's going to pull minerals out of your body. Okay. So that's very important to know that I do have some friends who do use reverse osmosis, but then they actually get like minerals, actual minerals, and add them back into the water themselves. So that's something you need to do. Yeah, of course, BJ. I'll post that. I'll find it. There is actually a recipe. It's in Spanish, but it's easy to translate. And but yeah, and I agree with Vaneka. Best deodorant is a healthy diet. Yeah, detox.
Oh, that'll help a lot.
Yeah, but some people just no matter what, still have a little bit
They're
of
stuck in the rut of the government knows all and they don't lie to us. Whatever they tell us is the truth and blah, 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 blah.
Also, lemon squeeze into a glass of water to drink is very good. Alkalizer, yes. Alkali water is extremely good.
I always have lemon in my water.
Because we're doing too much acidic. We're eating. That is the problems, is that our bodies are too acidic, and that is creating dis-ease within our body. So we got to be looking about that. Another thing I'm looking into is that cancer. I'm looking into cancer as well. Like I'm looking into so many things. It's like so many things going on. That cancer is actually parasites. Okay. Cancer is parasites, and that is why people who are using fenben and ivermectin are having actual and I'm not, in no way am I a doctor or am I recommending these things. I got to make sure I state that. But they're using fenben, and I'm going to butcher what it really is. I'm just going to call it fenben and ivermectin to treat cancer because it's actual parasites. And ivermectin, yeah, it's like well, I don't want to say it's a dewormer. Ivermectin is like an amazing drug. It won the Nobel Prize for like medicine. It was classified as a dewormer because it does deworm horses. And so people were using the deworming paste because that's all they were allowed to, because during COVID and whatnot, people were not allowed access to this. They're canceling it, which is really strange. But yes, so but back to that. So cancer allegedly is a parasite, and to deal with it, you use fenben and ivermectin.
That makes perfect sense. I mean,
yeah.
Wow.
And Kel, 100%. Yes. I wonder why. I wonder why sugar is cancer. Because it's parasites.
That's wild, man. They've known that for a long time. Kel, sugar feeds cancer, and it causes a lot of other issues.
They knew this a long time ago, and then it got covered up. This is back when the Rockefeller medicine with the petroleum-based medicine products came in, and all that other natural medicine, which is the original way of treating things, was all thrown out. So, yes.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, I'll remember those ingredients. By the way, cornstarch is great. I used it on foot powder. Yeah, Jack. So cornstarch, baking soda, oh my gosh, why am I having this? Oil, coconut oil, and tea tree oil to scent it. But and I will post the ingredients for that on my.
And put it in my group as well when you do that.
For sure, I got to find. Awesome. My wife has the recipe. Yeah, keto and fasting can cure, at least not feed cancer. Yes, yeah. Fasting is huge. Fasting is very, very healthy for you. Very healthy, and it sounds so strange, but it extremely is. Like, and that's why in the mornings we have breakfast, because we're breaking the fast, right? That's why it's called breakfast. And the longer you can, so if you can stop eating earlier in the night, and then if you can push your breakfast further, that there is a fast. You can do a 10-hour, 12-hour, 14-hour fast. Very simple. Yeah, you're sleeping most of it. Makes it so much easier.
Man, a lot of stuff coming out, I'm sure, as the years are going by too, and how and it just absolutely makes me see. My dad died from pancreatic cancer, and and we could have kept a lot of our loved ones around for a lot longer. In the future, they'll look back on this, and it'll just be just so upsetting, and they were just killing people on purpose.
Chemotherapy
It's poison.
It's poison. It's mustard gas. It's mustard gas. Okay? And people do it because that's what we're told works. And you're too afraid to not do it because you're being told it works and you're being told you're going to die. There's so much fear in there. It's terrible. Like if I was, maybe 10 years ago, if I was presented that I had cancer, I would do chemotherapy. Yes. Yeah. I didn't know. I'd be so scared.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it now. No way, man. No,
Yeah.
and watching my dad just die from that, and I remember I would take him once in a while when my mom couldn't to his treatment, and I would he didn't want me to be there. He didn't want me to see him get sick and stuff, and because he didn't want me picking him up. My mom would be ready to pick him up later, and I remember just crying when I would leave because he knew what was going on too, man. And so many ways we could have saved our loved ones and kept them around so much longer, and
It's like that. It's like that. It's kind of like Louise. I think that's a great way to end this off. It's a scary world out there. Trust no one.
I agree.
And don't trust me. Do the research yourself.
Right.
Like maybe I can send you in a right direction, but in the end, we all have to be responsible and do our own research. It's very, very important that we do that. Like I watch a show called, I haven't watched it for a while, but I watch The High Wire with Del Bigtree, and he says that all the time. He's like, like don't just believe me. I provide you with all the studies, all the science. Look into it. Like I will tell you what it says, but now you look into it as well, so for yourself. You make that decision for yourself. Yeah,
for sure. Well, listen, guys, we're gonna cut it here. I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. We had a great group. We had a lot of people in here. Some people have left, others have come. But I just want to thank everybody for always being here. Rye, you want to let everybody know what's going on with Codegas?
The usual. I'm actually dropping 2 episodes a week now. I'm trying to completely do 2 episodes a week. That's about it. I'm going to have an announcement. I think I need to do a live on my show here right away. It's kind of to do about the show. What Matt and I were talking about. I have some big bills coming up, and I need the help and support of my listeners and followers. So I need to do a live, kind of like a fundraising telethon kind of thing to help me out, because
and we will be there to help.
Yeah. So that's it, everyone. If you like the content that I do very similar stuff to Matt. We work side by side, and that's what we do. I interview people who have very interesting experiences. Every now and then we get into the conspiracy side of things, and I'm trying to get a 9/11 guy on, which is the architects for truth. I think it is Architects and Engineers for Truth, because 9/11 was not what we were told. That's
it was not. I believe 100% it was a homegrown attack that was done by the government. You had a lot of people, without getting back into stuff, you had a lot of people see the plane. It wasn't what they said it was. It was just a plain, like silver plane. You had other people say that, that were on the ground. They heard the boom, 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 all of the different charges going off.
Yeah.
So
like buildings, like there should be, physics will tell you that buildings should not free fall. They almost free fell. It was almost exactly a free fall, but they have restrictions from below. So if something is falling down, it's pancaking. This is providing resistance. Okay, so if something falls and this provides resistance, let's just say by chance it still is falling, but there should be resistance. Things will go slower. It's going to fall off to the side. It's going to go this way. It will never be perfect in its footprint. But that happened not once, not twice, but 3 times. And this is the only time it's ever happened in history. And it happened 3 times on the same day in the same place. No. Yeah.
Yeah, it was controlled. It was really, really sad.
We're off in another direction again.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So we'll save this stuff for another time, guys. We love you. Thank you so much, Rye brother. Thank you. I appreciate you, man. Always a pleasure. And we will see everybody later. We're gonna take off. Have a good night, guys.
Thanks so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe, as it greatly helps out the channel. I'll see you next time on Planet 412.